Today students are not really responsive to passive and row-based teaching. Motivating students by celebrating their achievements will always lead them to greater success in this. In fact, reputation for celebrating hard work and success also can be a central pillar of your own branding. Informal learning has experiential learning activities that really foster development of the skills. Formal education, it is organized and scheduled.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Great Principles. I'm your host Seema Chhoriya. Formal education is something we all expect to be provided by the schools and fulfilled by teachers. But leaders in this field have a higher calling and a greater responsibility to make that formal education, along with nurturing children to adapt at life skills, humility, and humanity. And I'm sure the leaders, the educator, the school leaders are the people who does this, because a leader take people from where they want to go, but a great leader takes people where they do not necessarily want to go but ought to be. And I firmly believe that our educators are these leaders. To share my beliefs and thoughts, we have our very impeccable guest of today, Miss K. Padma Srilatha. She is Regional Head South MF, Birla Open Minds International Schools. Welcome to Great Principles, ma'am. We are very honored to have you with us today.
Good morning. How are you all doing? Even I'm really honored to be a part of Great Principles. You gave us a wonderful platform to cherish. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. And to my dear viewers, today we would be talking about inculcating values and etiquette along with academic pedagogy. And just before we dive into this wonderful topic, let us understand from Padma, ma'am, a little about her journey. So, ma'am, take us back to your once upon a time to how it all started. What challenges did you face in your initial career? And I'm sure there are so many achievements to share with us.
Yes, yes. Well, initially, when I started my journey as a teacher, it wasn't planned that I'll be getting into the teaching profession. I always wanted to be a part of civils. Bureaucracy was my favorite thing. And as man proposes and God disposes, and because of financial crisis and all, I couldn't pursue the career there into prelims and all, the mains and all. I opted, but I couldn't do that. And but end of the day, then I realized, why is that I'm craving for a field which I'm really not getting it across the opportunity, because I missed out because of the financial crisis, the quality of education. And then I decided that I will be a part of it, the teaching profession. Because of this financial crisis, many of the students are being deprived of quality education. Then I decided, let me contribute my life towards this teaching profession. I wanted to reach the pinnacle of this teaching profession. That's what really triggered me to get into this teaching profession. Okay. And as you said, as a teacher, we have so many challenges. I started my journey as a teacher first. Initially, I was teacher for 2 to 3 years, then got across as vice principal, then principal. Since 15 years, I'm working as a principal with unflappable integrity. And I was the regional head of South MF, Birla Open Minds International School. Well, challenges initially as a teacher, you have so many challenges which comes across. There, believe me, there cannot be a job in the world that really yields equal rewards. Equal rewards. Frustrations on the first year of teaching, because you suddenly get into the across into the teaching, you have so many things to come across, and understanding different learning abilities, and time management. All these things really matters a lot. We need to understand children better, and engaging students, parent communication. All these things were a part and parcel of the job. I need to understand. Just being a teacher is not a fancy job. That's what considered to be one of the noble professions. And I came up with the determination that I had to get it across. And obviously, it was a big challenging job for me. And as and across the times passed, I really loved it. And teaching has evolved over years, and with that comes different challenges. Classroom management, creating engaging lesson plans, which lesson plans are really important. Initially, with the traditional ways of lesson plans and all, we had so many things to do across, because until and unless something is really not planned, we cannot deliver to the students. Delivering the content is really important, because it's I wanted to do something out of the box, not the rote model of teaching and not traditional ways in educational pedagogy. I always wanted to create something, a blend of ancient values and modern education. I always craved for that. I always tried for excellence in getting into this teaching profession and all. And remember one thing, we do make mistakes. Even I did make mistakes, and I proudly say that I made mistakes. I will never say, I'll not take a step ahead, say that I did not commit mistakes. I did commit mistakes. I learned from them. At the end of the day, mistakes are really painful. But over a period of time, they become experiences. In the form of experiences, they become a part of you. They become a part of chunk of lessons to you. So this is how I took it across as a challenge for the teaching profession. As a teacher, we need to understand one thing very clearly. I realized one thing very clearly, Seema. What was that? What I realized is, as a teacher, it's not life is not about always finding yourself. Life is all about creating yourself. Life is all about creating yourself. When you're really convinced to that, then obviously you'll be able to deliver to that goal. This is what I firmly believed, and I just kept on doing this. And as I grew as a teacher, as an academician, what I understood is only one thing very clearly that I emphasize on is always, I never see what has been done, but I always see what needs to be done. Because I understand you have so many professions for breadwinner, but very honestly, teaching and doctors, with due respects to all the professions, these two professions are considered to be the noble professions. As a doctor gives a birth to a child, the teacher is the person who makes that particular life into a proper human being at regular intervals by instilling regular intervention into creating them as an epitome of knowledge, a proper human being. Somebody has to become a doctor, you require a teacher. Somebody has to become a public bureaucrat, you require a teacher. Wherever you go across, without a teacher, the world is vacuum. So I have learned a lot being a teacher. Every day there is a challenge coming across, and every day there is something to learn for us, and we does that. And I'm really honored, blessed. I feel blessed that I'm a part of a teaching fraternity of this vibrant India because there is so much to learn. Still learning across, there's so much to learn across. As a teacher, we have so many accolades in our life. Our biological children doesn't give us, but believe me, the immense happiness what we get. I want to share one experience. See, this is small giraffe. This was done by one of my grade one students, Sri Vardhini. She wasn't well. She was suffering from viral infection with severe throat pain and cold. She couldn't come to the school for more than a week, and in that week time, she remembered me. She made this small giraffe for me. She comes and gives me, Padma ma'am, this is for you. She embraces me, she gives a tight hand and gives this. This is what it is. And her father asked, why can't you give this to me? She says, no, this is only for Padma ma'am. Such a lovely girl, Sri Vardhini, she is. This is what a teacher can enjoy, no other professions can enjoy. So, this is what teaching is all about.
And this is the real true award for you, right?
Absolutely, ma'am. This is something beyond many accolades, the being many awards what we receive. A small giraffe, a child of grade one Sri Vardhini, not well, instead of going and kindling with her parents, she remembers me. She makes a small giraffe for me, and the father asks, why can't you give this to me? She says, no, this is only for Padma ma'am. So what is this like? I will never forget Srivardhani in my life. This is what a teacher only can enjoy.
So true, so true. Hearing you, there is one question which is popping in my mind. You have emphasized so much, and yes, that's true also on the role and her need in the society as a doctor can give birth, but the teacher is one who shapes and ensure that the child is able to be independent and fulfill his life in a better manner. So tell me, ma'am, in the
Yes.
span of this entire journey of 15, 18 years of yours, from a teacher
Hmm.
to now a regional head, do you think that things have changed and teachers are treated well now compared to earlier, or how it is? And with NEP talking so much about teacher improvement, even in terms of pay scale improvement, what are your thoughts? I mean, I would like to know from you, is there any shift?
Yes, there is not a dramatical shift, but there is a shift. I do agree. There is not a dramatical shift. Still, we say that Acharya Devo Bhava. And only I think India is the only country where teacher is being given or kept on the pedestal called as Guru. the Sanskrit word guru, which has guru is nothing but he is something beyond everything. This is what we say. Even the Vedas and all the Upanishads, forget about everything. Everything's in only one thing. Even before putting your mother on the pedestal, on the pinnacle, they kept Guru Acharya Devo Bhava. That's what they said, right? So obviously things are changing. Things are really changing, but still yet to be changed. Unlike other countries, teaching is considered as a white collar job. Unfortunately, in India, it is not considered as a white collar job, right? But I do understand things are changing now. Teachers are also embracing so many things which is coming across, and believe me, couple of years of pandemic taught a lot. Indian teaching community was never a technical savvy, but we had to dive into that. And everybody is embracing technology now. Teachers are freely focusing on the teaching pedagogy, and the teaching patterns are being changed now. Regular intervals, the training sessions are being happening, and we're trying to understand things better now. So obviously, and as you said, there is a shift. It's this dramatical shift even in the pay scales as well. See, because at the end of the day, it is also becoming as one of the challenging professions now. Gone are those days where people used to think, I'm a graduate because I have got nothing to do. Let me work, let me go to a school and work as a teacher. Gone are those days. When we are hiring the teachers, we're also looking for the teachers who are really trained properly with the proper qualification and all that stuff, looking for the experience and all. So obviously things are being changing. Now getting a proper quality teacher is also not an easy job. It's a challenge for us now. It's a challenge for us now. And even the parental community has drastically changed a lot. Parental community as well changed a lot, because even parents are very particular getting across a good quality teacher. That is the reason I think these international schools have cropped up, just not only with academics. We're focusing on initial good olden days, we used to focus only on the academics. And now we're focusing on scholastic as well as post-scholastic areas. Teaching has become a challenging job. It's a total platter. It's another total platter. So basically, I strongly feel there is so much to come across, still so much to come across, but I'm sure there is a beginning, and at the beginning started off. There's a beginning, it
Absolutely.
started off.
And along with the teacher becoming tech savvy, we also learned one thing from COVID, that whatever happens, teachers can never be replaced. Technology will always be a very powerful toolbox in the hands of
Yes,
teacher, but our children are always going to need that facilitator with them to show them the right path. So, to all my dear viewers, all the management bodies, and all of those who are watching us, it's a humble request to please ensure that you're teaching treating your teachers well in all means, because without them a school cannot thrive. And as ma'am also said, that a step has already been taken, and I'm really looking forward that everyone will ensure this. And if this happens, we are certainly going to attract more good quality teachers into this profession. So moving ahead
absolutely.
in a conversation, ma'am, you just told me that here at Birla International Schools, and the other schools where you have been part, you have been focusing on including scholastic education together. So how do you
Yes.
merge these things, and what is your vision to merge this both formal and informal learning? And what would be your tips for other school leaders to ensure that the blend goes properly so that the child is developed holistically?
Right, but whatever it is, the learning space, whether it is a formal or informal, I strongly believe one thing, Seema ma'am, we need to understand today's students. Understand the student first. What are his requirements? What are his requirements? It's not that we're international schools are coming up with scholastic and post-scholastic areas, put all these things aside. First, understand the needs of the student. And who are they? How do they learn across? And what are their needs? This is what we need to emphasize more on. And apart from this, learners come from a different cross section of society. They are different learners from different backgrounds, different ages and socio-economic situations, and all, ethnicities and experiences, all these things that we come across. And uh, we need to think about all these things. And always I strongly believe one thing, very think what I strongly, one is never only and exclusively visual learner. Things are changing these days. A student is just not only an exclusive a visual learner, and student might be auditory learner or kinesthetic learner. We need to understand all these things, right? It might be auditory learner or even a kinesthetic learner or learner. So obviously, what do we understand? Learner is an amalgamation of things. Learner is an amalgamation of different styles. We need to understand first. Initially in the schools also these things are being entertained. Once we start off with the sessions, the teachers are being trained to understand the requirements of the teachers by going multiple intelligence theory proposed by Howard Gardner. we understand what is the child requirement is, where the child is really standing across. Once we identify his places of interest, then we'll be able to blend the formal as well as informal educations. So it's always like it's always like a blend of things. I will not say that you go only with formal education or informal education, as formal education has got its own beauty, and informal education has got its own beauty. And if I say that today's students are not really responsive to passive and row based teaching. They're not really that same old things we cannot continue even today methods. They want to learn actively. They're really focusing on interactive learning and all. We need to inculcate this interactive methods into the student, in the student's pattern of teaching and all. That's really becomes every important. Education should always foster on retention. I strongly believe education should always foster retention, comprehension and motivation. You say something and the child doesn't comprehend and child is not motivated, I don't think the purpose of teaching is really resolved. So obviously that education should always, as I said, the education should always foster retention, comprehension and motivation. This is what we need to emphasize it on. Combination of formal and informal and student directed learning experiences is what I really look forward in all the schools in the teaching fraternity. This is what we really want. Either it cannot be totally formal or it cannot be totally informal. So we need to focus on formal education. If you come across formal education, it is organized and scheduled, right? It is organized and scheduled, and it happens in a step by step and a systematic manner. Systematic manner. It is the most basic knowledge that is to be acquired by every individual mandatory, and nobody can skip from that. We cannot go out of that because that is equally important for us, right? And when you're talking about informal learning, Seema ma'am, I strongly informal learning has experiential. Informal learning has experiential learning activities that really foster development of the skills, that encourages the development of the skills and knowledge. Okay, so this is like, as I said again and again, every point across, I will say it's always like a blend of formal as well as informal learning is what the schools need to incorporate. Just
Yeah.
not that only formal way of learning, not informal. It should be a blend of all these things. When you focus on this type of informal learning, also what happens is, this helps in building confidence. This really builds in helps in the confidence and abilities of the youth of the country,
True.
right? So it's always like this, and this is all what I really look at. And I strongly feel that we need to merge both the educations.
Much
We
needed.
need to merge. That is really much needed. We are, and if you're talking about informal education also, that really does not go with this pen and paper examination and all. So we need to merge both this education, because future education, formal education is future oriented, and we cannot miss that. Well, education is really
Absolutely.
for, that's what it is, future oriented. It helps students to lay a strong foundation, and we can't afford to miss that. And we do require that, right? And based on this formal education, he'll be facing the economy, he'll be the future society and the economy, he'll be facing it across. And I don't suggest any schools or any organizations to go only with the formal education, but go with a blend of formal as well as informal education. Allow them the freedom to embark upon their learning journey. Allow them to do that, embark upon their learning journey independently. So learning will always have its place as an integral part of performance. Support network is an integral part, and obviously formal education gives the support network, complementing the informal education and all. Informal education, remember one thing, Seema, I strongly say one point very clearly: informal education can never replace formal education. Formal education has got its own beauty, informal education has got its own beauty. And so informal education will only act as a layer of support of imparting the performance. It will always support the imparting of the performance. Obviously what I insist is, we should be having a blend of formal education as well as the informal education for making a proper citizens of the country. That is the reason we're focusing on scholastic and post-scholastic areas these days. We're not only to the scholastic areas, leaving initial olden days, we were only to the academics and nothing more than that. But touch wood, the things are really changed. We're really focusing to foster on so many things for getting the total. But we're trying to create a beautiful citizens of tomorrow. So obviously, we need to have a blend of hand in a glove, like formal as well as informal education. education, both of them
Yeah,
together.
we cannot go on without it now because we all are globally connected. Gone are the
Right,
days when we
right,
were just concerned about what is happening in the vicinity. We were just
right,
competing inter-school competition with the school next door, but now it's a
right.
global community, right? So our
Absolutely.
children are, so much open to the people of the students of other so-called developed nations where the skills are the main requirement. So the foundation
Absolutely.
needs to be built in the form that where the formal and informal learning are blended. And ma'am has really very rightly emphasized on this, and I'm sure most of the schools have already incorporated this method of blending both the learnings and ensuring that your child get the best of it. So this is how the way the education is evolving in our country, and with leaders like ma'am under her vision, I'm sure things are going to improvise on and on. So moving ahead in our
And
conversation, ma'am.
one,
Yeah,
Seema,
yeah,
for this formal and informal, what we were doing at Birla is, the initial stages of this academic year, once we start, we focus on multiple intelligence theory very well. It is one of a pillar of Birla. We focus on multiple intelligence theory and Bloom's taxonomy. These two things we really emphasize on. So we'll be able to identify the learner, and based on that, we
yeah.
focus on the assessment patterns and all. So this is what I really
Yeah,
wanted
again,
to say, that we need to go with this.
it's an extremely important thing to understand what your leader, how your learner learns, because
Yes,
every child is different, every child learns in a unique manner. And yes, this is a very good thing to identify it at an early stage, then you can work
very
as per the
true.
learning pattern for a longer run. So really a good way to start and give a child a better learning ahead. So here I would move ahead in our conversations, ma'am. And now we have come to something which is a little, I would say, quite cliche, but yes, still a thought to be discussed upon. So these days whenever you step out of any schools, most of the schools have
Mhm.
this big hoarding displaying the toppers on the websites, on the social medias,
Yes.
at the school door. And once you enter the office, there also you have on all the boards, you have all these toppers list. So it's right to celebrate the success of the child and their hard work, but how right it is to use their hard work as a marketing gig. I mean, I really don't understand that. And just a plentiful of student, does they show that the entire school, entire all the students in the school is benefiting in the similar manner? So what is your thought, ma'am? I would really want to understand this.
Well, if you come across, if you're asking me, so you ask me, should we really celebrate winners by claiming their hard work and success at the school, right? This is what your question you're really asking me. To some extent, yes. But genuinely look at it across, I think that should be done, but not as in a marketing strategy. Genuinely not as a marketing strategy, very honestly. Because as they say, effort always needs to be rewarded. We strongly believe in that. Whatever it is, effort always needs to be rewarded. And because motivating students by celebrating, if putting across this marketing strategy, see, mama, if we look at it across, motivating students by celebrating their achievements will always lead them to greater success in this. Don't you think? Right. Don't you think? Yes or no? If we focus on encouraging the students to believe in themselves, and motivation and college and all these things motivate them and encourage them, and encouraging the students to believe in themselves can have a lasting impact both inside as well as outside the school. Again, Seema ma'am, I'm saying putting all the marketing strategies aside. I'm not really talking about marketing strategies aside. Yes, some schools are really doing it across. I really don't want to comment on anything, but yes, to a certain extent only it wins across. Believe me, at the end of the day, you're only focusing on the marketing strategies, putting with these big hoardings and all. The charisma might last only for few one of that academic year. If you don't deliver, then people will step out. The parents are really intelligent. The first question as well as said,
Yeah.
the parents are really intelligent these days. By hoardings and all, boasting the success of a handful of chunk of children and all that, really gone all those days, parents are really smart enough. Yes, but when it comes to the motivation and all, yes, I feel we need to motivate children. We need to celebrate the wins of the students at any cost very well. Because I strongly believe, celebrating even small wins also stimulates, there is a chemical called as dopamine. It's a dopamine, which is a chemical, which feels good, that releases in the brain, a chemical that reinforces the learning experiences and strengthens our sense of connection to work with. So this is what a good chemical called as dopamine, which is being released in the brain. That's called as a feel good chemical which releases. When you're celebrating all these things, it has a sense of connection to those we work with and change the growth that they really promote with the positive emotions. Yes, success should be celebrated, especially when it comes to schools. Teaching fraternity in the student community, I strongly feel success should be celebrated. Again, saying that not as a part of the marketing strategy. You can, but there is a limit to that. You cannot always boast on the chunk of students. And for a teacher or any school, already, because in every class you have slow learners, average, and above average. And I strongly feel a teacher, the teaching fraternity, and the management should always focus on the slow learners. Getting across to the average and above average is the challenge lies across. And if we do that, and that is the time we need to really celebrate. That is the time really to celebrate. But instead of the marketing strategy, we always focus on 5 to 6 students. Every school, everywhere, you have that cream layer. But what about the children or slow learners? The true challenge of the management lies in pulling these children out across the box and getting it across. And I think that is the real accolade, that is a true achievement for the teaching fraternity in the school and all. And you need to celebrate hard work at the school always, because celebrating achievement can boost confidence and increase motivation in this teaching fraternity. If we celebrate achievement, hard work in the right way, Seema ma'am, I'm telling you, we can increase confidence and motivation, leading to happier and even more productive students. It will
Completely
do that.
agree.
It will more productive students as well also, and that will really happen as well. And if we really acknowledge, and if we don't appreciate, and we really acknowledge also a job well done, a job even well done, there's always a risk that morale and dedication also will slip away. So we need to understand these things and balance these things. It's not always praising people. No, that really doesn't work across. In fact, reputation of self. If you talk about the schools as an organization, what I strongly feel is, in fact, reputation for celebrating hard work and success also can be a center pillar of your own branding.
Yeah.
But that should be an element. That should have some parameters. That should have parameters always strictly. And acknowledging and celebrating the achievements is a part of building an effective driven team. As a regional head or as a principal, we need to do these things at regular intervals for the either it is with the teaching fraternity or student community, whatever it is. That will actively seek to the improvement in the results in the performance. A small patting will always, that's a gesture will really good. But most importantly, Seema ma'am, whatever you choose to celebrate, make sure it's appropriate. Make sure it's really appropriate for the people involved. People
Absolutely.
involved. And we need to understand very important thing. Don't go overboard. Don't go overboard. Don't go overboard. Excessive celebration of every day. That efforts, might make you appear out of touch. And within your team's work. And if your praise is too frequently, it can even lose its impact as well.
Yeah.
So
Don't
this
just
is what I
overdo it.
strong. Yes, it will lose its impact. It's just a word every day. So as I said, it should be appropriate, precise, the time frame and all these things matter. But a gesture of appreciation might really bounce back either a student or even the teaching faculty. But that should be balanced and appropriate. But not marketing
Completely.
strategy always. Marketing
Yeah.
strategy of boasting only a chunk of students or a big holdings will never work out. At the end of the day, deliver the content and get it across. Because there are so many schools to see, Mama, without even holding these things, we're getting it across. The flow of the students is like mad, falling it across. You deliver and you get it, right? So these marketing
Completely.
strategies for a prolonged period will never work across. That charisma will not work across.
Absolutely, ma'am. And this is the part which I loved because anything which is you are boasting it about will not have a very long life. It's
Never, never,
ultimately the
never.
effort. And when your focus is on celebrating, yes, you celebrate, then you celebrate everything, not only the topper, but the children, those who have shown a little improvement, that needs to be celebrated as
Yes,
well
yes, very
because
true.
that is what actually will get you more admissions and have see the school to reach to its glory. So completely, and I really actually really love this point where you very correctly said that the life of these kind of hoardings is very short to one academic year. What about the rest? So
Yes,
this is what
yes.
needs to be kept in mind. So very brilliantly answered this one. So
Thank
moving
you.
ahead now to a very interesting segment which is called the rapid fire round. So, ma'am, in this round,
Okay.
you need to answer me in one word or a single sentence.
Right. We'll strictly follow that.
Great. So, here comes my very first question to you. Who is your lifeline at home?
My husband. In fact, I'll say my
Okay.
family. My husband is an amazing person. I'll say you should only one line. My family and my husband.
All right. Are you an indoor person or an outdoor person?
Like mixed. I'm not indoor nor outdoor. I'm like a blend of both of the things. Wherever required, I just do that. I'm a blend of both of the
Okay.
things.
All right. Moving ahead to next one. Who is your favorite actor or actress?
Madhubalaji and Sridevi ji.
All right. Both eternal beauties. Moving ahead to our
Yes.
next question. Tell us your favorite place of travel.
My favorite place of travel is Uttarakhand. Uttarakhand, because you have good scenic beauty as well as it's an abode, heavenly abode of spirituality as well. So I love both of the things. And Uttarakhand is always my favorite place to travel always.
All right. Now, the last question of this segment. What is your leisure time activity? What do you do in your recreational time?
I love reading Swami Vivekananda's books and listen Carnatic music a lot. I'm a great lover of music. I
All
love
right.
reading Swami Vivekananda's books a lot. That it keeps me so much of inspired. I try to rediscover myself there. I love it. I love reading those books.
Great. So, from our rapid fire round, we came to know that ma'am has a spiritual side as well because she really tried to find value in whatever she does, even her place of travel, her choice of music, her choice of reading.
Yes.
Everything has that thing that she really want to have the culture, the values all intact to it. So, that was wonderful knowing you in this segment. Now, we move to our next question. So, ma'am, it's not always easy to be an educator. You have to, when you
Yes.
get uh, accolades for doing a brilliant work, you also have parents and others, those who are always on the top of you and saying that no, it's because of you that my child couldn't perform at his best. So you're always wearing this crown of thrones. So I would like to know from you, as you said that your journey just started, but who inspired you to continue your journey as an academician, and what was that starting point? Who was that person of inspiration?
Oh my God. Initially, I always, as I said, I never wanted to get into this profession. Initially, my passion was always for civils, and I was so passionate for civils. As I said, I started. How did I get into this profession? The reason I wanted to be a teacher was that I always wanted, that I really always wanted to be a bureaucrat, and the reason I chose this profession, Seema, is I wanted children to have a positive approach towards things, and I wanted to give them some proper constructive things which I really missed out. I knew that so many children are being deprived of quality education because of a number of things. That was a triggering point which got me into this profession. Okay, now we're talking about the teach. As I said, I always wanted to be positive, inspiring impact on the children's lives. And I have been trying to do this, and I'll be trying to do this, achieve the above by being kind, empathetic, caring, passionate, and even funny too. Sometimes we need to be. Being a teacher is not always trying to be very strict. Sometimes we need to be funny too. And now, when it really comes across the teaching, as well. Apart from this, out of the box, if I can say this, I always wanted to contribute and build the character development of a students, which is really important. The reason I'm telling you all these things is what triggered me to a teacher, and who gave me this, I'll surely let you know who is the person behind my inspiration, and I'll surely put it across. And teaching fraternity strongly believe they're the pillars of building character in the student community, within the classroom and outside the classroom. And I have learned all these things from one person, I'll surely tell you. And I strongly believe that teaching is the only profession which can change the world, which can, I'm emphasizing on this was teaching is the only profession which can really change the world. The profession which can change people who, the way how they live in the societies as well. So I could get all this inspiration from a wonderful person, who is none other than my, I'm on this successful point culmination. I could reach the pinnacle of the career just because of two men in my life. And the first person is none other than my guru, Sri Dr. Pratap Dakshinamurti Dikshitulu Garu. who has done his MA PhD Sanskrit, and he as well is an Ayurvedic doctor. He was totally an inspirational force for me, and he was a source of motivation. He lives in a small hamlet by name Kohir, which is located in Sangareddy district of Telangana. He's still there. He's 82 plus. He's still 82 plus, and he has been the source of motivation, inspiration, and learning. He's an encyclopedia for me. He's an encyclopedia of everything, pin to mobile. And he's not only contributed to my academic development, but also even in personal as well as social development. He's the person behind me. Seeing him, I learned a lot. I'm still learning a lot. There is so much for me to learn across from him. I'm still trying to do it. He always said only one thing: teaching is the only profession which can really change the world. If you really want to get some change in the society, focus on the teaching, because he himself was a teacher. He is well versed in four Vedas, and he speaks 16 Indian languages. One of them, yes, Urdu, Parsi, Marathi, Bengali, what not. He speaks Indian language, and even as well as Urdu and Parsi as well. He speaks across. And I see he says only teaching is the profession where you can embrace all the people in the society together. Only this profession has got that beauty. And he keeps on nurturing me at regular intervals. He just does that at regular intervals. And I think he's the one who instilled that confidence in me. My guru, my teacher, Shri Dr. Pratapa Dakshinamurti Chittal Garu, he's the person who instilled confidence in me. He believed in me, visualized that I can be a good academician. What I am today is nothing but this, I will use a wonderful word, Seema, here. It is nothing but as benediction. What I am today is just nothing but as benediction. His blessings, the way how he nurtured me. He caught my hold, caught my hand like this, took me all the way. So, I came across one wonderful shloka in Sanskrit, Gurave Sarvalokana, Vishaje Bhavarogina, Nidhaye Sarvavidyana, Sri Dakshinamurtaye, my Guru, Sri Dakshinamurti. He is the person who brought me till here. And the second person I really want to say is nothing but, he's the person who really identified me, believed me, nurtured me. But getting across the pinnacle of success, even qualification always really matters. I was a graduate till my marriage. After my marriage, my husband is the person who really encouraged me to pursue my education. For me, I will say my husband is like he replaced my parents in my life as well too. He's a wonderful friend. My husband is Mr. Nityanand. After my marriage only, I could pursue my PG, MA in economics and philosophy. I could pursue my BEd. I could pursue my MA. He is the person who encouraged me to get across all this qualifications and all. And I'm still trying to pursue my education from Howard University now. And so he is the person. So these two men played a vital role. One is the person, my guru, Shri Dr. Pratapa Dakshinamurti Dikshital Garu, who resides in Kohir, a small hamlet. He's the person who taught me the ABCs of all this teaching and all, and the person who pushes me from outside the home to go across and explore the world. He says women need to stand on their own, explore yourself. You do have a life. My husband Nityanand does this. So these two men I can never forget in my. They gave me a
So,
birth properly. They gave me a birth properly.
so behind this successful women are two men, right?
Yes, absolutely. Without my guru Dakshinamurti Dikshit Garu and my husband Nityanand, I couldn't have been anywhere, and I couldn't get this platform where I'm really showcasing my skills. And so all these credit goes to them only. As I said, this is my guru's benediction only. What I'm today here, my teachers and my guru's benediction. I'm here before talking to Seema Chhoriya right now so confidently, and it's just because of these two persons.
Yeah, and when we hear this on our show that the men of the family actually motivated and pushed them to work and to empower them, that is when we feel like, yes, now we are breaking stereotypes. We are pushing the females and we are
Yes.
ensuring that they are, independent and they feel confident enough. So this is a great shift. And from your journey, one more thing I learned, I got a brilliant answer for my question, which I was always looking for: how to get more quality teacher. For that, the teacher should play like such a role model that all her pupils aspires to be like them, like you aspired to be like your teacher. You got so much inspired by the way he portrayed himself in front of you. So this is how the journey will go on. When our teachers are, when they enjoy what they are doing, this is when the other generation feels like, yeah, this is what I want to become, this is something that I would like to do. So your journey actually gave us two very thought provoking things, that how things can change. So to all the men all around, thank you so much for
Yes.
always supporting all the strong and amazing females, those who are now building the future nations here. Thank you so much to all the men over there. So, moving ahead to the last question of the show, as ma'am, we have been talking, and you also have a vision of ensuring that our children are sticking to the roots, our culture, our values are always there. There is one thing that we have seen, and I'm sure you have seen the generations now, that our children are not as empathetic towards elderly these days. They just try to walk away. They will not spend time with them, they will not talk to them much. And we are seeing this west influence gradually in our country also, that now children prefer to have independent space. They don't want to stay with parents. So, and we also need to understand that our country has always shown that it's our time to take care of them. Our values have always been like that, but there is a drastic shift now. Our children don't realize that tomorrow they will be the adults, and if they do the same, this is what is going to happen. So how would you, and how can school help us in changing the attitudes towards elderly? I'm sure the family plays a major role here, ma'am, because what they see is what what they're reaping is what their children are following. But still, is there anything that schools can do to change this attitude?
Absolutely, schools can contribute a lot. Schools needs to change the outlook towards the children. We can incorporate so many things with the student community, ma'am. Because the children from morning 8:30 to 3:40, they are in the school. The most quality hours is spending in the schools. The quality hours are the spending in the schools, right? So don't you think we have an responsibility, moral responsibility towards the student community as well? We need to incorporate this culture of, very good question. In fact, a very good question. How can the children change their attitude towards the elders? That's really important for the children to change their attitude towards the elders. I strongly feel, as a schools, as you truly said, in the at the home, the children learn seeing from the parents. At the school, we are the heroes. We are the true leaders, and we are the heroes of the school. And how do we? What is the impact that we really have it on the student community is what really matters across. And this is a very valid thing we need to focus on. And tomorrow, after doing something, this we don't get even an opportunity to ponder across. We missed out something. So I strongly feel, is a part of the science. We need at Birla what we do at Birla, what we do is, we have a subject called a soul science. SOUL, soul. We have a subject called soul science, where we try to teach children to be empathetic towards your elder. We try to be empathetic and caring with the elders. We make it as a part of a subject. We have inculcated as a part of the curriculum to us. And even talking in the science classes also, you can talk that age is a problem which catches up every day. Tomorrow I'm here, tomorrow you're here, your parents are there, tomorrow you will be there as well. So we need to teach them as well, understanding these things in celebration of great grandparents' day in a great pomp and all. Just don't confine yourself only to the celebrations. Involve grandparents as a part of your day. And in one of my experience, I will really share, grandparents, and as truly said today, we are going with the nuclear families. Nobody is really having grandparents in the home. Grandparents are somewhere, even though grandparents are there, there are so much. I think there should be an approach shift also. I strongly believe even as women, even we need to change. Extremely sorry on this platform if I'm really crossing my limit and going out of the box. I ask a simple question. Why is that woman always treats the mother and mother-in-law? Why doesn't she treat both of them as an alike? When the mother really blabbers on you, it's fine with you. When the same thing happens from the mother-in-law, why is it we're not able to take it across? And don't you think this shift should really come across? Because women play a vital role, especially the moms play a vital role. We have a very good responsibility on our shoulders. As such, the reason I'm talking about the moms is the moms are really the persons who are coming to the school as a teachers. We need to put this across. What you do in the home as a mother, when you come across to the school as a teaching fraternity, you will be able to put it across. We always preach what you do. What you doesn't practice, you cannot preach it, right? So first, as a person, as a teacher, every teacher, as a male or a female, whoever it is, generally teaching industry is dominated by women. Teaching industry is really dominated by women. I think the approach with the woman should always change. Once that changes, automatically will be having a positive impact even in the school, in the students, because you're already enjoying that motherhood and enjoying that at the home. And so obviously you'll be able to give it back to the school in the students as well. And coming back to the schools, I personally feel we need to this talking about the approach towards the elder should be part of your curriculum. It should be part of your curriculum. Involve grandparents. Call at the what we are doing at some places is, in Telangana and Hyderabad is, in calling some of the times for the PTMs we are strictly calling only grandparents, encouraging only grandparents. We're forcing the parental community to go ahead and call. We're keeping it one PTM is only for grandparents. Where the grandparents come across when we talk to them. We make sure that the students of the school they should come with the grandparents accompanied by the grandparents mandate. So we're doing that, and celebrate grandparents with a great pomp and a zeal, and tell to the children aloud, grandparents are the roots of your family because without them you don't have anything. So we need to tell this in different forms of stories or other things. Include mythology in your classes, soul science in your classes. Do whatever you want. And you know what? One last recent past we have done celebrate our grandparents with a great pomp, ma'am, and we have done one thing. We made sure that all the children of our school, 3000 plus volume, we made sure that they write the letters. Everybody forgot the letter concept of letter also these days. Grandparents really love to read all these things and all. We have the mobile concept and all these things, but do you think really grandparents are into the tech savvy and all? No, they are. Small gestures make them happy. So we made sure that all the children, the student community write a letter to the grandparents, the inland letters, and we posted them, and we got the response was overwhelming, very honestly, because I remember so many grandparents coming and congratulating me. They embraced me. So many of the grandparents embraced me with the tears rolling down their cheeks and saying that जीती रहो बच्चा, हमेशा खुश रहो, कोई तो है जो हमारे लिए याद कर रहे हैं. And then I realized the schools had really got a great role to play in this approach towards the elderly things. And that too should be done from the grade one, from the nursery. You need to nurture them from the nascent stages. This is what Indian ethos stand for across. And I strongly believe me, this should be a part of the curriculum. We need to make it as a part of the curriculum. As PE is made a part of the curriculum, as we strongly believe sound mind in a sound body, and we say that we come across from Indian ethos with such versatile heritage and background and all. I think we need to focus on these things. And it's high time that schools, the education system has to change. Yes, it's being changed, but I'm talking about this approach of soul science. It has to be a part of your curriculum. Make sure that grandparents being called you interact with the grandparents. In the soul sense, what we're doing is fortnight once we make sure the teacher, in a period we have a topic where the teachers we go and talk only about the grandparents, ask the names of the grandparents, what are their interests, what do they really love to do across, are you calling. So we need to incorporate as a part of your curriculum, not as a part of your activity, but make sure that it's a part of your curriculum. You does that because ma'am, today's children are the futures of citizens of tomorrow. Today we are like this. Tomorrow we are going to become grandparents. If you don't give it across properly, if you don't gel across all these things, Indian ethos and this value-based education to the children, believe me, tomorrow will not end up. This is the backbone of our country, and we need to emphasize on this. And I think schools, as I said, we need to make this as a part of a curriculum. The school management based on their own dynamics and dynamics, and they'll have to sit and focus on all these things, and they will have to make it as a part of their curriculum. Just not celebrate one grandparents and throwing it out. No, weekly once there should be a touch of grandparents. That should be. This is what we're already doing at Birla.
Yeah.
We're already doing it.
A wonderful practice of soul science. I really love this concept, and I think this is what all our educators can, imitate and have a similar kind of curriculum learning in their school of soul education. Because what happens is grandparents are like a living history. They're the for the children. They always give reassurance of the roots that how things started, and I see my son. He's very much close to his dada, then to his papa also, and he always says that my dada is my best friend. So they are not only grandparents, actually they are parents, they are siblings, because at that age you can be silly and mischievous too, which we
Yes.
do not act in that manner. So that is a beauty, and why should we devoid our children of that, right?
I think the grandparents and the grandchildren gel across very easily than us. It's a circulating. They become to the same age, so I think they gel out with the grandchildren very early. And we need to have that umbrella of grandparents always in all the houses. And out of the box, not as an academician but as a woman, I humble request everybody, being women and mothers, we have a great role to play. Let's love our mother-in-laws, who are the grandparents, who are the backbones of the house. Seriously, this is what I really appeal to all the women of the country. I know everybody is doing it, but we need to emphasize on this more. Tomorrow, even we are going to become the mother-in-law. Tomorrow, we are as well going to become the grandparents. We need to remember this. We always reap what we sow. This is we need to get it across. And as at schools, Seema ma'am, I'll tell you schools next. First, good human being, you be human being. As a good human being, you become a teacher, and as a teacher, you this is what you instill your students up. First, get it across at the home. Automatically, you get it across even the school as a teaching up. This is what I
So,
strongly feel.
yeah. And ma'am, just re-emphasizing on your thought, I was just listening to a podcast where they were sharing the secret of success. And it was very simple that in whatever you're doing, whether you want to be successful in family, in parenting, or at work, or as an entrepreneur, all you need to do is to take ownership. And as you appeal to all our dear mothers, just take ownership that whatever it is, they are mine. And when you take this ownership, things are simplified because जैसे भी हैं
Absolutely.
आपके हैं, right? वो जो भी हैं वो आपके हैं and they are ultimately for
हमारे
you
हैं,
and your children.
हमारे हैं, हमारे हैं,
Yeah.
वो तो हमारे हैं.
हाँ, बस तो वो जैसे भी है हमारे हैं and when you take this and when you pass it on to your children, then the magic automatically happens. So this was thoroughly a wonderful conversation. Padma ma'am, you resolved quite a few queries that I had, and you also brought me peace of mind because today I know that with educators like you at the helm of Indian education learning, our children and our teachers are certainly going to reap success in their lives. So thank you so much for sharing your journeys and ideologies with us. I thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. The feeling is mutual, Seema ma'am. Thank you for giving me a wonderful platform where I could really showcase and speak and put it across what I really thought across. Thank you so much.
Thank you. So, to all my dear viewers, kindly do ensure that you implement whatever you learned today from this conversation, and we'll get you many more educators to share their values. Stay tuned. Thank you so much.